Men's basketball catches fire over break.
And bowling starts their season.
All this and more coming up on the Penguin Rundown. Welcome into the Penguin Rundown. I'm Monica Kurjan alongside Abigail Cloutier. Abigail, break went by super fast and we're back in the swing of things, but men's basketball has been really busy over break. Like I mentioned before, they're undefeated at home and they're also 4-1 in conference play.
Yeah, definitely. They did fantastic over break, but we have some new sports starting as well. Bowling starting their season this weekend and track and field is starting up soon.
It'll be really exciting to get some new sports back this semester and to hear about some other things. So I think you're going to get us started with track and field.
Continuing their stride, the YSU track and field team is back. This Friday, the team will host the College Invitational in the Watts. Beginning at noon, fan favorites will be back in action. Keep an eye out for senior Jalea Elliott and freshman Janiyah Bowers on the women's side. Bowers and Elliott have placed side-by-side at the YSU opener in both the 200-meter and 60-meter dashes. On the men's side, before break, records were broken by freshman jumper Jakari Lomax and sophomore Wyatt Lefker in the pole vault. Be sure to tune in to our social media and next week's show for more on track and field.
Coming back from a nice rest over break, the women's bowling team is looking forward to some fresh competition on the lanes. The first tournament of the semester will be the Northeast Classic. It will be held January 17th through the 19th at AMF Bristol Pike Lakes in Croydon, Pennsylvania. Wish our women bowlers luck as they hook themselves into victory.
The men's basketball team was very busy over winter break, finishing up non-conference and beginning league play. The Gwins went 6-2 over break and 4-1 in the Horizon League. This past week, the men had their first home games of league play, facing the Oakland Golden Grizzlies and the Detroit Mercy Titans. On Thursday, the team defeated Oakland 61-60. A layup by sophomore Darius Quisenberry with 1.7 seconds left in the game secured the game. Junior Michael Akuche led the team with 20 points and 10 rebounds, recording his second career double-double. On Saturday's game, it was a close one once again, with the Gwins taking over the win, Detroit Mercy 69-67. Junior Nazba Hannon hit the winning shot with 22.8 seconds left. Quisenberry's 16 points were a team high, and he also led the team with 6 assists. Senior Devin Morgan tied a season high with made 3-pointers. These two wins bring the Gwins' record to 11-7 overall and give them an 8-0 record at home in the Beagley Center. Here's what Morgan and Coach Calhoun had to say about the team's upcoming road games.
Yeah, I think it's about opportunity. You know, that's the word I've been using with our guys. It's a great opportunity. Obviously, we've put ourselves in a good opportunity early in the season, but there's a lot of games to be played. So great opportunity. You know, we're playing two programs that have had a lot of success on the horizon. Not only great coaches, fans, but great players. It really is about players. So we've got to understand the opportunity that awaits for us.
We've had some games early in the season that we thought could have gone a different way, and I think now, that we didn't get over the hump early in the season. Now you see the past couple games we've been able to actually get over the hump. So our confidence is definitely at an all-time high. We have the city behind us. We're playing for each other. So I think, going into a big game like this, with our preparation, I think we'll be more than prepared for it.
Up next, the men's basketball team heads to Northern Kentucky to take on Norse tonight at 7 p.m. Then they head to Wright State to take on the Raiders on Saturday at 7 p.m.
The women's basketball team saw the court on 8 different occasions over the break. The Penguins split the break at 4-4 while going 2-3 in the Horizon League. YSU started conference play 2-0 but have dropped their last 3 games. Their most recent game came on the road against the Cleveland State Vikings, where both teams would continue to trade scoring runs back and forth. Youngstown State came up just short, falling 60-52. Freshman Jen Wendler had a team-high 13 points to go along with 9 rebounds. This puts the Penguins at 9-7 overall, with 2 more road games coming this week. Tune in to ESPN3 or 570 WKBN tonight as the women's basketball team faces the Oakland Golden Grizzlies at 7 p.m. Then on Saturday, the team travels to face the Detroit Mercy Titans at 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus and 570 WKBN. Here's what junior Chelsea Olsen and Coach Barnes had to say about Olsen stepping up as a leader.
Yeah, I feel like this stretch has definitely tested my leadership skills, and I think more than anything, I'm just trying to manage the game, make sure everybody knows what play we're running, and just knows where to be. So I think just being patient with them and helping them learn and viewing it as like a learning opportunity for them, I think that's what's helped me through.
Oh, it's tough for her. Well, you know, her and Nana, the upperclassmen, because they're kind of by themselves. You know, everybody's young, and it's their job to keep it together. And you know, Chelsea's pretty low key. You know, doesn't get too high, too low, so she takes things in stride. And I think the freshmen see that, and it helps them not to get too wound up or you know, up or down as the games go on.
With the Penguins sitting at 2-3 in conference, losing the last 3 straight, the women's basketball team is facing another major challenge, the injury bug. Here to discuss the injury report at the roundtable are Richie Giuliano and Dom Joseph.
Thanks, Monica. And like you just said, we're going to be talking some women's basketball here at the roundtable today. And Dom, unfortunately, the storyline and what Monica just said, the injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the list has just continued to grow as the season has progressed. Now, coming into the season, they knew they were going to be without at least one player, and that was Lexi Wagner. She's out for the whole season with a leg injury. They were okay with that. They were going to redshirt her and have her get ready for next season. As for Amara Chikwe, she's been suffering from a concussion since the offseason and really hasn't recovered since, and she's still out with that injury. But since then, on November 20th, they lost their first team all-conference player, Mary Dunn. That was the biggest blow to this team. And then you lose her backup, Emma Van Zanten, to an ankle injury on the 23rd of November, 3 days after that. So another big heartbreaker. That forces more pressure on the freshman Jen Wendler. And now you lose Taylor Pettit to an upper body injury on January 4th. And then 6 days later, you lose McKenna Peters to an ankle injury. And all of those are still undetermined on when they're going to come back.
And I think the worst part about losing Mary Dunn and McKenna Peters were those were 2 players that had the most experience on this roster. Yeah. And now you're forced to play 3 freshmen in that starting lineup.
Absolutely. And, I mean, looking at the accomplishments of these 2 as well, I mean, you talk about players at the beginning of the season like Chelsea Olsen, McKenna Peters, Mary Dunn. Those were the 3 stars, the superstars of this team. And now you're down to 1, just like that. It's a big blow for this team. And the recent games have really shown how big of an impact that is to this team.
Now let's talk some positives here. They were 6-1 in December. They got off to a very hot start. 2-0 in the Horizon League play. They beat IUPUI 75-73 in such a great win at the end, and then UIC 77-65. As a color commentator for this team, what did you see in the month of December?
You know, after Mary and Emma went out, they knew that it was going to be freshman Jen Wendler going from maybe 30 to 45 minutes on the season to 30 minutes a game. And so they really had to rally together, bring her up, and let her know, you're going to get through this. We're going to help you get through this, and you're going to learn along the way with us because we're all young as well, aside from Chelsea Olsen and McKenna Peters at the time. But they rallied together. They had great chemistry. They weren't forcing up shots. They were playing great defense, and they were just sticking it out all the way through to make sure they can get the victory. And they were perfect at home. They protected home court very well, and they haven't lost a conference game at home since 2018, so it's been a phenomenal run for them at home. But then we turn the calendar to 2020, and they start this big road trip with some big teams, and that's when we really saw this team start to have some struggles.
Yeah, 0-3 in the new year of 2020. They lost versus Northern Kentucky 56-75. Then they got absolutely walloped by Wright State with their biggest loss of the year, 91-41. And then against Cleveland State. This is where the 3 freshmen came in, as well as Maddie Alba, another freshman coming off the bench. So there's 4 out of your 6 players who play the most amount of time on this roster are freshmen. They battled. They were winning in the first half, and then you get to the second half, that inexperience takes place. Unfortunately, they couldn't secure the victory as they lost 60-52 in that one.
Yeah, and that was a game of runs as well, back and forth. YSU would go up, Cleveland State would go up, then YSU would retaliate, and then Cleveland State with the fourth quarter were able to get the win. But to go back to that Wright State game, that was the game they lost McKenna Peters. And if you watch the women's basketball team like you and I do, you know that she's the toughest player on that court. And for her to go down and not be able to get herself back up and fight back and stay in the game, that was a heartbreaker for this team. And it really kind of showed late in that game. And they were defeated after that.
Now you talk about McKenna Peters and being one of the toughest players on this team. Another tough player is Chelsea Olsen.
Yeah.
her ability to lead this young roster here with Mary Dunn and McKenna Peters out right now has just been tremendous. On the defensive side, 26 rebounds, 6 blocks, has also controlled the ball pretty well with under 5 turnovers in the last couple of games. What have you seen from her and her ability to lead this team as of late?
You know, the great characteristic of a great player is the ability to make adjustments, and that's exactly what she's done. She went from, again, the co-star with McKenna Peters and Mary Dunn. Now she's the star of the show. It's just her. But she realizes she's not out there by herself. She's got these freshmen out there, but they don't have that experience. So she takes a step back, shows them the way, teaches them this is how you play in conference. And if that means sacrificing some points, some rebounds, so be it, as long as it's to the benefit of the team. But if they're down big or they need that quick spurt to get them farther ahead, she'll take care of business.
Now let's talk about the upcoming schedule. YSU is 7th in the Horizon League right now. They play Oakland tonight, Detroit Mercy Saturday, which Detroit Mercy only has 1 win all year. They're 1-4 in Horizon League play as well. And then they finally return home the 24th versus Green Bay. What do these next 3 games mean for this entire season?
Yeah, and a quick wrap up on that. This is big. This is moment of truth for this team, honestly. I mean, Oakland, they lost to one of the lower teams in the conference, UIC, but then they beat the best team in the conference in Green Bay. And now you're looking at Detroit Mercy, again, only 1 win, but you should never overlook any opponent. They're going to play tough, and it's on the road. Can never forget that. And then you finally come back home, finally long road trip, but you face Green Bay, one of the toughest teams in the conference. But last year, Green Bay came in as the best, and the Penguins took them down.
That's very true. And be sure to come out and support the Youngstown State women's basketball team as they return home January 24th against Green Bay. That'll wrap it up here at the Roundtable. Monica, Abigail, back to you guys.
The swimming and diving team will be coming off their near 2-month-long break this weekend as they travel to Indiana to face the Ball State Cardinals. The team's last meet was held at the Cleveland State Invitational in the last weekend of November, where they acquired 9 top 10 finishes before heading into the break. The Gwins will continue to strive for top finishes as they battle the Cardinals this upcoming Saturday at 5 p.m.
The football team was very active over winter break, with awards given to a former player, as well as National Signing Day in college football. The Gwins will add 24 new players in 2020, and 5 of them are transferring from other schools. Junior Terrell Bailey is in the spotlight of the new recruits as he is a transfer from the University of Tennessee. Bailey is a defensive back but served as a linebacker at Tennessee. Bailey tallied 6 tackles, including 5 solo stops during his time with the Volunteers. Defensive tackle Anthony Johnson is another big transfer recruit for YSU. Johnson comes from Bowling Green and is a native of Cleveland, Ohio. Johnson was second-team Division I All-Ohio his senior year in high school. His junior year in high school, Johnson recorded an insane 134 tackles and 12 sacks. Former Penguin Kyle Hedgetist was just named to the FCS Athletics Directors Association Academic All-Star Team. Each nominee had to have a minimum of a 3.2 GPA, an undergraduate study, and play in 50% of the games throughout the season. Hedgetist had an outstanding career as a defensive back at YSU with 143 tackles and 28 games played. He also added 3 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. Hedgetist has not left YSU and is currently involved in YSU's master's program for athletic training. Now it's time for our very first play of the week of this semester, and we're going to send it over to Katie Rogers-Vidala, who has more.
Thanks, guys. This week's play of the week comes from Naz Bohannon of the men's basketball team in a game winner. Bohannon gets a swing pass from Donnell Cathcart III and makes a jump shot right in front of his defender, right in front of the three-point line, and drills it. See, he reads his zone defense coming, he sees the trap coming, and his height actually comes to an advantage as he takes it over his defender, and they would go on to win 69-67. That was all for Play of the Week. I'm Katie Rogers-Vidala. Monica and Abigail, back to you.
Thanks, Katie. That just does it for us here at the Penguin Rundown. For news, highlights, and more, go to ysusports.com. And be sure to follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat at Penguin Rundown 1. I'm Monica Kurjan.
I'm Abigail Cloutier.
See you next Thursday, Penguin Nation.